Well, we're looking at a historic weather event now. It's rare that storms this big and this violent take aim at major American cities along the eastern seaboard. But that is what's apparently happening with Hurricane Irene, now a Category 3 hurricane with winds of 115 miles per hour. Irene blew past Florida today on its way toward landfall in the Carolinas sometime early afternoon Saturday. The big question: where does it go from there? Here's ABC's Matt Gutman for our coverage of Hurricane Irene.
As menacing as it is massive, Hurricane Irene rumbled over the Bahamas today, bending palms like rubber, toppling trees, and ripping boats right out of the water. Hurricane photographer Mike Tice caught the brunt of it in Nassau this morning.
I'd say we're getting wind gusts around 75 or 80 miles an hour, and this wind and rain combined is absolutely ferocious to stand outside in front of.
And even before making landfall in the U.S., the storm was menacing enough for the Second Fleet to order ships to evacuate its Norfolk base, including its biggest, the USS Enterprise, steaming out to sea to avoid damage from the piers. And the threat of what's being called a once-in-a-generation storm has emptied out tourist havens in North Carolina. Tonight, Irene is emptying the cozy beach towns of the Outer Banks, chasing away 145,000 tourists. We met these folks having breakfast in our hotel.
By show of hands, who's planning to leave today? Is that everybody? You guys are leaving? So everybody here plans on leaving today? Wow. All right.
Well, we were told we had to.
You were told you had to.
Who've come all the way from
Chicago, Kansas City, Maryland, Germany.
Emergency managers are openly nervous.
People are aware. I think they are listening. But we want them to take this warning very, very seriously.
Now calling on 33,000 locals to evacuate Dare County, loading their cars. And they are drilling in boards, protecting what they can.
We're out of here.
And one woman out of a very special night.
Everything from a caterer to a cake, all these details I'd been working on in this wedding I had planned and dreamed about here in the Outer Banks. I have no idea what we're going to do.
Melissa Cook's wedding was scheduled for Saturday and planned for a year.
Last evening we were finally relaxing with a little pizza and beer, and the TV showed the mandatory evacuation, and I burst into tears.
But this is not your first brush with the hurricane.
No, this is not. Last year when my boyfriend at the time proposed, we were here in the Outer Banks on August 28th. And 4 days later we were evacuated because of Hurricane Earl.
They left none too soon. The storm's already spawning a treacherous undertow, forcing dozens to be rescued today in the Carolinas and helping others achieve some serious air.
The storm is going over the islands out here.
This NASA picture shows the hurricane sprawling across the North Caribbean, about 1,200 miles at its widest, or the distance from New York all the way to Miami. 7 states have already declared states of emergency as Irene creeps relentlessly towards the northeast.
There are dozens of models that we use to show you the variations that could happen with this hurricane. I have not ever seen these models go over New York City like this. But if you get street level down toward the big Empire State Building here, you can look above the sky, and some of these forecast models would take what's the center of Irene directly over New York City.
Well, I'm always worried about storms, and this is going to go through one of the most populated areas on the East Coast. So yeah, we're very concerned.
Concerned about those very big cities. 4.5 million in Boston, 6 million in Philadelphia, and 19 million in the New York metro area.
What we have to do is assume the worst, prepare for that, and hope for the best.
But if the storm continues on its current path, some 270,000 New Yorkers will be required to evacuate tomorrow night, the elderly and those living in the most prone areas to flooding. The city has boats and helicopters ready to rescue the stranded and is preparing to shut down the city's subway system, the largest in the world, if need be.
New York City is surrounded by water. Boston is on a shoreline. We're talking about incredible waves, 20, 25, 30-foot waves.
In Massachusetts, coastal towns are moving boats from the water. And back here in North Carolina, we found another couple, John Fleming and Heather Huber, this one unwilling to give up on their dream wedding, but willing to compromise on the date.
It's one day earlier than we planned, but it's going to be a hard day to forget.
Tonight, they'll wipe away the tears of joy, celebrate. Tomorrow, they'll hop in the car and join the thousands heading to higher ground. For Nightline, Matt Gutman, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
Mazel tov there. You can find a detailed hurricane tracker at abcnews.com/nightline. And a new estimate of the track of this hurricane is going to be released at 7 a.m. tomorrow. And Good Morning America will have all the details on that.